Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Sprites of Life podcast. I'm Lucas.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Don.
So glad to have y'all back. And a special shout out to all the people who are listening who were there with us at GalaxyCon. Loved
Woo!
having y'all at the panel. We had a great time. Also GalaxyCon liked us. Like, a bunch of blue shirts just started rushing us to take pictures throughout the whole thing.
Yeah,
That was really cool.
not us, you.
Well, okay, to be fair, they were taking pictures of me without the Magikarp mask.
Yeah,
They did
true.
it without it too.
But
Fair enough.
we got pretty good turnout to our panels, and a very lively group. Both times.
It was a lot of fun. We had a great time. Don, we will have an equal, if not better time at DragonCon. It'll be hard to be better. It was a great time.
Can't wait.
On that note, Don, how you doing with the storm?
What if I was at DragonCon and also had a 100-pound alligator in the back of the truck? Wouldn't that be cool?
How you doing? How'd you do with the storm?
Oh, fine. I don't. We didn't really even lose power. Maybe flickered here or there. Actually, yeah, it went out just long enough to mess up all my fish tank timers. But other than that, it was good.
Yeah, Debbie's doing a toilet bowl spin right on top of Charleston the next 2 days. So I'm real glad we're recording this like Tuesday night because I can just spend Wednesday and Thursday just like grinding out the editing process on this episode. But then it's coming for you, Chris. It's coming for you next.
Yeah, we're ready, I guess.
Oh, you'll be fine. You only have a billion trees to worry about falling with the wind. You'll be okay. I will tell you though, I am planning on going to the movies after all this is done. And guess what I'm gonna go see?
Borderlands.
No, Deadpool versus Wolverine. Deadpool versus Wolverine. Just no. We're not watching the Borderlands movie.
You haven't seen it already?
I mean, I know, man. I've been busy. I got things to do, and I gotta stay off the internet anyway. So might as well.
I have a baby, and I've found time to see it.
I haven't seen it yet either.
I mean, how did y'all feel when they announced the Borderlands movie?
Incredibly skeptical.
I was happy because I love Borderlands, and
I was concerned because I love Borderlands.
I am reserving judgment until I see it, even though I know that the judgment will probably be negative.
I will judge. I immediately judged off of minimal information at first because I like to be negative.
The actors themselves, come on, the actors. They even they're like, I don't know. I was kind of in like a COVID trip when this happened, so I don't wanna. But I figure, I mean, we all like Borderlands. People are going to be looking up Borderlands anyway. Let's put something positive out there. Something about Borderlands that's good. I mean, I can't guarantee
I love Borderlands so much. I'm gonna play Borderlands after we record.
I do want to play Borderlands. Which Borderlands though?
Probably 2. I mean, I have the or 1. Borderlands 2 is really my favorite. It was actually my first one in the franchise. I never played Borderlands 1 till after I got 2.
That's actually the same for me.
Borderlands 2.
And it was same for me, and then I played 1, and I was like, I know these characters.
I bought the first one when I was going to college. Like that was like when I was going to University of South Florida first year. It's like, all right, I'm gonna buy this, just buy a game to keep myself occupied as I'm learning things out, and that's where I first fell in love with Borderlands. And it's like, wait, there's another one coming out? I loved it. Good.
That was me in college with Borderlands 2. And then my friend Troy, who I think you've met, even Lucas, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got really into Borderlands 2. Freshman and sophomore year of college when the overpower levels came out. We would just run through that to try to get unlock each level. And we were trying, we would play with randoms to round out the squad, and everyone was terrible. And we met this one random commando guy named Hapsy, who was the greatest commando player I've ever met. And it was me, him, and Hapsy. We cleared Digistruct Peak, got all the overpower levels in like 3 days. We met up online at 4 p.m. every day. And then Hapsy just vanished from the world, and I never saw him online ever again.
And that's what this episode's about. We're going to get this episode out there. He'll find you, Don.
Shout out Hapsy.
Shout out to Hapsy.
Let's get some news done, and then we'll go ahead and try and find Hapsy. So I figured with the storm going on, there'd be something hurricane related. And between all the ones talking about climate change, I found one that's actually kind of neat. So there's a species of bird called Desertus petrel. John, have you ever heard of this thing?
Is that the like scientific name or just the?
No, that's just what it's not the scientific name. It's just the Desertus, like desert and AS, and then petrel.
I know about some petrels. I haven't heard of that specific one, though, I don't think.
Well, let me just drop this picture here in the Discord chat, and I want you to just take a look at him. The little guy. Yeah, the little guy. Also, kind of insane because they follow hurricanes.
Fun.
So this thing is about the size of a pigeon. They're considered vulnerable. They're found in the North Atlantic on the European side on like 1 or 2 specific islands in Portugal, and they travel thousands of miles in order to find food to feed their chicks during the nesting season and the raising season. But they were tracking these birds and they found out that as the hurricanes were blowing past them, they would have these birds following behind them. They were getting into winds that were like anywhere from 50 to 60 miles per hour swell, just going at it. And these birds are still following these storms because whenever a hurricane passes through, it causes an increase in phytoplankton, which in turn increases the food content. So these birds are literally risking flying into a hurricane in order to get more food, which I just think is really, really neat that they did this study and found them.
That they know where the good food is.
Yeah. I wonder if fishermen ever just decide to track a hurricane for food, or are the birds braver than some random fisherman off the coast of Portugal who's like,
if there's one thing I've learned from fishing is that following birds is almost always a good idea. So I'm sure some of them were like, that guy's up to something.
Isn't that the plot of The Perfect Storm?
I can't remember. Were they following frigate birds or looking for frigate birds in
I know they were looking for fish.
Okay. Well, yeah. But yeah, like in offshore fishing, you can look for frigate birds a lot in particular because they'll follow schools of like dolphin and tuna.
with the article I found from it on Science News, it pointed out how they had a number of them tracked. When a storm passed by, half of the tracked petrels started following the wake, and nearly a third pursued the storm's trail for days and for thousands of kilometers. So really cool that this bird is doing this. I just think it's a neat behavior from what basically looks like a tiny angry seagull. I like this bird. He's a good bird.
Good bird.
Good bird. Now, as far as other critters, we do have the news for Pokemon and kiss your magic goldfish and evil prehistoric ghost goodbye because the legends are out of here, baby. Let's go.
Somebody kicked a dead horse.
The bears are dead. Long live the bears.
Long live the other bear.
Yeah. So yeah, we have this the first time we've had a format like this. We've had a couple other ban list formats before, but this is banning all legendaries, paradox mons, and sub legendaries, which I guess is the official in-game designation. So your restricted legendaries are banned, your paradoxes and your ruined Pokemon are banned, and your just sort of run-of-the-mill legendary guys like Articuno, Suicune, the Reggies, guys like that. But also a few other Pokemon that people don't always consider are legendaries. Ogerpon is banned. The Urshifus are banned. And there is much rejoicing about that.
Death to the bears. Long live bears.
Yeah, and but we still have Ursaluna and Blood Moon Ursaluna. So yeah, long live the bears still.
I'm gonna be honest, I was under the impression that Ursaluna was a sub-legendary, and I was mistaken apparently.
Unfortunately, it's not.
I considered it more of like a regional variant.
Blood Moon? Yeah, I think it's just a regional variant.
From what I've seen, there has been, different reactions from like the competitive community. Most of them I've seen are positive of like, yes, we can finally get away from Urshifu. I can use Protect again.
You can use Protect again. You can use a water type that's not named Urshifu.
Use all the water types so my olive tree will eat them alive.
Palafin is back. It's a very interesting. It's basically Regulation A plus because you've got all the Pokemon from the 2 DLCs as well as the Hisui Mons.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been playing a lot of it actually since I'm not going to the World Championships this year. But trying to go for next year, so I've been already playing a lot of it. It's a really
Is
fun
World
format.
Champion going to be at this format?
No.
Okay.
You switch to this regulation change is September 1st.
When does the regulation H end?
January 6th of next year, and then it goes to regulation I, which will be the same thing that we're in now for some reason.
I almost wonder if this is them hinting that because remember how people were mad when Legends Arceus came out and the competitive VGC scene stayed in Sword and Shield, and everyone was like, "What the heck, guys?"
Well, I mean, Arceus's way it played wouldn't have worked for competitive, and we did get the Arceus Mons added to the game.
Yeah. Well, that's what
I
I'm
think,
saying is I feel like that this reset is to basically reset the table to then get new ones into the game once whatever that one comes out.
Yeah, I do think I think just looking at early format, I've been playing a lot of fun teams. I think Dondozo was back, and it's really good. I think Rain is really big. I think like things like Archaludon are really going to have a big showing now. And things that kind of got overshadowed by Urshifu, like Basque Legion, who was allowed at the same time as Urshifu, are really going to be like dominant threats.
I feel like Tyranitar is also going to make a comeback. There's always those people who want to try
So
a
I ran
sand
into
team.
I was playing today actually, and the number 2 team on the best of 3 ladder on Showdown was a Tyranitar team.
Nice. Did it have Excadrill or the dog?
No, it wasn't a full sand team. It was
Oh.
I apologize if I'm blowing up your team, but you beat me, whoever this is. So I will say what the 6 were. I wrote it down. Yeah, if I remember right, it was Psyspam with Indeedee, Dragapult, Tyranitar, Primarina, Golden Go, and Hatterene.
Golden Go's still there, still making it work.
Golden Go is I would say high A or maybe S tier.
Yeah, I mean it was
well.
back when the game first came out. It was everywhere.
And we like also some old Pokemon got some new tools. Like originally only Armarouge really got expanding force, but now thanks to like the TMs that they added later, things like Hatterene get expanding force. So even Pokemon that were around for Reg A will have new toys.
Does Indeedee have expanding force again?
Male Indeedee has expanding force.
All right. I think it's going to be cool, and hopefully we'll have some more stuff to report sooner rather than later. I know Pokemon is planning on making a trip over to what is it, Gamescom in Germany
I think
this month,
Yeah.
as well at the World Tournament. They're making the stop, and hopefully they'll have some news for us there. But we're going to go to Borderlands now because, like I said, I have no idea if that movie's going to be any good, but we know we're good, and so that works out fine. So, for those who've never played Borderlands, it's probably the best looter shooter ever made.
I think so. I think it kind of pioneered. I mean, I'm sure there were some before, but I think it really kind of pioneered the genre as well.
It made its money off being crass, dirty sci-fi universe. Had a whole lot of fun working with your buddies instead of against them to like find vaults, crack them open, look for loot, repeat. Awesome stuff. Loved those games so much. If you all had to pick your favorite vault hunter, like your favorite character to play as from all of them, who would it be?
I always liked Mordecai because Bird, but I think I played Salvador the most because
he's broken.
Give me all the guns.
He's broken. Yes, he is.
Yeah, if you want to abuse glitches incredibly, Salvador is the guy.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over my Skag pistol next to whatever the heck else I care about using.
Yeah, you could do some very silly things with the guns. No, I said Borderlands 2 was my favorite. I ended up I have like I don't even know how much playtime on the Siren mainly. I mained Maya was kind of my original character. I liked the control sort of ability that she had. And then when I started like playing with my buddy, we'd co-op a lot and having like I ran like a more offensive build, but having like some of the passive healing skills when you were like fully leveled up still was like just really good for like the high difficulty stuff. And I don't know, I like the how her phase lock ability when you had it like spec a certain way, you could like it would like black hole everybody around into like one big pile and then you could just like explode them. Like that was good.
I didn't like Borderlands 3 as much as Borderlands 2. But what I've had the most fun
The
is
gunplay in 3 was maybe like the best, but the story and like kind of the characters kind of fell flatter for me.
We don't talk about the pre-sequel.
We don't.
I would rather not talk about 3 than the pre-sequel, honestly.
For me, even though 3 was never going to be my favorite, I loved Moe's. Moe's, whatever.
Yeah, and I liked some of the deals. I liked some of the DLCs from 3. I do not like how they did my favorite Vault Hunter. That was dumb and stupid. I won't spoil anything, but I'm still mad about it, and it's been years.
Not to completely derail before we get into it, but I feel like for a long time, Borderlands for me was like the staple of what good DLC was.
Honestly, yeah.
Oh,
I
good.
think, especially I said, I think all of their DLCs have been pretty great. Borderlands 1's, yeah, we're gonna try to avoid any specific spoilers for a like 15-year-old game or however old Borderlands 1 is now. And same, but I think the base story was serviceable. The initial ending was kind of lackluster, but some of the DLCs really kind of brought it together more. Borderlands 2, the Bane story was pretty good. Also, like Handsome Jack and his voice actor was just kind of made it really memorable. But the DLCs as well, I think were like top notch. I think they do DLCs really well. I would put them not on par with like FromSoft for DLC quality, but there's been very few Borderlands franchise DLCs where I felt like I didn't get my money's worth.
Lucas, you did say at the beginning that one of the most successful looter shooters out there. There is one series that's a touch bigger than Borderlands.
What, Destiny?
Destiny.
I would say is Destiny even bigger than Borderlands? I feel like if you asked a person on the street, they might even say Borderlands before Destiny.
Maybe like word of mouth, but sales wise, it's not close.
Yeah, that's fair.
To me, I'm not talking about sales. I'm talking about like, what's in your heart. When you actually think about like a looter shooter, that's the big one in your heart.
So
obviously Destiny 2 is going to make money. They went on the live service train and look where that got them. That team, Bungie, is literally 40% smaller this year than it was last year thanks to layoffs.
So the original Destiny sold 325 million retail in its first 5 days.
Yeah, I bought it. Back in the day, I really enjoyed the first Destiny. I almost ruined my life for a bit playing way too much Trials of Osiris.
And the original Borderlands, I think, grossed like 6 million.
I mean, the original Borderlands, like I remember,
it came out of nowhere. Yeah.
A new IP.
I remember it was like the game was grimy. Pandora, the first one, is very much as desert wasteland. I remember seeing the commercials, Ain't No Rest for the Wicked playing.
Oh,
like,
I love
it. Was such when I was like in like
yeah.
What was that, like 08?
No, because the Borderlands came out in 2012.
I always remember it as earlier.
Oh no, it was 09. It was 09.
Yeah, because I remember getting it in college, and I went to college in 2010. So makes sense.
Yeah, because I got Borderlands 2, and it came out when I went to college in 2012.
Okay.
In any case, I think that the game's really, it was so good. Like the fact that the DLCs operated so well, the fact that when you pay for them, you got extra content, all of these things just made it so worth getting. And do we even need to talk about like the Bunkers and Badasses DLC that created its own spin-off game later on because of it?
Fantastic. That was the first game as well, like General Knox and the Armory, the glitch, the first introduction of a Borderlands raid boss, and just the amount of guns, which I know we talked about that. I think it's mentioned before. I think the first
right
Borderlands
here in the notes.
game was like millions of guns because in Borderlands games, the guns have there's multiple gun manufacturers, and each manufacturer has a different sort of style. Then guns have multiple parts, and each part affects the rarity and the stats of the gun. So altogether, you have millions and then later billions of potential guns. And that's like not even into the legend.
Oh my gosh. It's such a great game. And like Pokemon in a sense, on accident, they actually made a pretty good ecosystem. Pokemon and Borderlands did not go into it to be like, let's make a world that seems ecologically viable. They went in this to make a setting to blow things up. And I think they did a really good job of it. Like in the lore, and Borderlands has a surprisingly large amount of lore.
Yeah, I'm trying to restrain myself, to be perfectly honest, right now.
Yeah, but there's so much of it. Like, let's give them the short version. Pandora, the planet, was made by an alien race to guard a terrible, horrifying power in order to keep it safe from future people trying to break into it. They built a planet. They put the thing inside the planet. They had garbage put into it. And best of all, they basically filled the planet with some of the most dangerous things they could come up with. Like everything in the planet was basically built by ancient aliens. Humans came there, messed around, super capitalism, and now the planet is operated by bandits, lowlifes, and scum. And vault hunters, which are kind of mixed in with the scum. I love this game's environment, specifically Pandora, because it doesn't fall into the single biome trap so many other games and shows fall into. You guys would know what I mean by the one biome problem.
Yeah, lava world,
Yeah.
ice world, desert world, jungle world.
Now, admittedly, in Borderlands 1, yeah, it was all basically a horrifying hostile desert. But once you get to Borderlands 2, you have polar ice caps, deserts, highlands, like washed out seas, actual ocean. Like you have ecosystems that are connected to each other and work. And like that's what a planet is. Very few planets are ever going to be one thing. This is not the mood of Endor where it's all one force from Star Wars. They actually did a really good job in giving you different ecosystems on the planet when they could have just been lazy. Love it. Oh my gosh. I mean, like, even like back in Borderlands 2, you had the polar area where you have to fight in the beginning of the game. After that, you get on a train and you head to the next area, which are the highlands, which literally blend almost seamlessly from like the glaciered cutoff area right to like the rough, scrubby grassland, which is totally in line with some places like Iceland, which is exactly how it would work. They did a really, really good job. Even the deserts. The deserts are partly based on North America, and I know this because they put weird cactus things there. Granted, I don't think the cactuses in America can electrocute you if you hit them. Don, can they electrocute you if you hit them?
Not the ones I've encountered, but I haven't seen every cactus.
Okay, cool. So we'll have to just start hitting more cactuses and we'll figure it out from there.
This is some citizen
Yep.
science, everyone. Go out and hit a cactus.
Just go out, just punch it with your fists.
Officially endorse hitting cactuses.
Take notice of which ones
Don't wear
shock
gloves or
you.
you won't know if it shocks you.
No, I really do love how they worked so hard on making an ecosystem work for them. And they also did a good job. Like, look, Pandora's super tongue-in-cheek about like everything. They make references to famous celebrities and famous things happening in the news at the time of its making. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You might wonder why we don't care for Borderlands 3 story, and that is because as opposed to Handsome Jack, who is the villain in Borderlands 2, being, incredible beyond all reason and like awesome and all kinds of complex as a character.
I mean, I think partially too, Handsome Jack and the voice actor really just set such an insane like precedent for the villain. It was they were almost doomed to fail. I sort of liked how the villains in 3 were like they were like evil live
You mean live
streamers.
streamers? Just
And I
live
thought that
streamers.
was kind of fun, but I feel like they didn't do enough with them. They should have done more live. Yeah, I guess it goes without saying that they're evil, but I wish they leaned heavier into that part.
I think that one of the things they did add well are like some of those little like nods to like ecological disasters, things that have happened in our world, like people being left behind when they shouldn't have been. Like, so that's how they got the criminals. Like, we have multiple cases in our world of people who have been left in tough straits and basically break down society because there's nothing else to do. We've seen this in pop culture all the time. What I do like in Borderlands 2, they have the caustic caverns, and those are basically a chemical dumping ground from the Dahl Corporation. And Dahl is like the company who's like, hey, you want to be a soldier? Here's your soldiery gun, soldier. Like, they're very much like very super. Well, that's it. Like, there's like this.
Yeah.
Here's your military gun. Take your military gun, military man. And from there, like, you go into it, and it's a caustic, toxic slurry of a heck hole. And if you actually look into places like Tianjin, China, or I believe the other place I was looking up was Desensky, Russia, there are places where we've done quite a bit of chemical dumping that they don't like talking about. And I'm trying to get this verified, but over in the place in Russia, apparently the life expectancy at the top, like at its worst, was like 42 years for men and 47 for women. Which is like just horrifying. But again, I couldn't get that one verified. It just says so on Live Science. So yeah. But in any case, again, I could go on, but I wanted to focus this episode on the critters, and I knew that we could fill in any more time we needed with just how much fun this game is. So I'd say we start with the first critter. How do y'all feel about Skags?
I like them. I think they're iconic. They're in all the intros. I think they're
No, they're
good
there.
guys.
Yeah.
I want to buy
Yeah,
one of
they're
the Skag
domesticated.
plushies, but they're more money than I want to spend.
If you've never seen a Skag before, it is basically, it's kind of like a dog, but it's not a dog.
Well, its mouth
I mean,
opens
like it.
the other way.
Yeah, no, it's got a vertical slit mouth. It's got a really long tongue on occasion, and they live underground.
In a burrow system.
Like they mix a prairie dog and like a normal dog together in order to get like this weird horrid monstrosity. So Skags do live underground in nests and colonies. They have scouts that signal out for lookout, and that's where I like to combine them with prairie dogs because they are intelligent enough to at least communicate, and prairie dogs have been seen communicating all different kinds of things. What was it? How many words do they have in their language?
At least 100.
Yeah, so when it comes to their communication, it's if it's at least 100, they're not just communicating, oh, dog, dog, dog. There have been studies showing that they can tell dog, big dog, small dog, human, how far. Like they can actively communicate different things with each other. So prairie dogs have a vastly superior communication system than most people realize. Also, apparently, some people have them as pets, and I don't think they should.
What, the Skags?
They're
Well,
like
well, Skags, yes, but also prairie dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're semi-invasive in Central Florida, actually, because of that. I saw one time, and I thought I was hallucinating.
Incidentally, please don't eat them. You will probably get the plague. They are also one of the biggest spreaders of bubonic plague in the United States.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. Just don't eat the prairie dogs. As far as Skags go, what I thought was neat was that as they get older, their tongue gets longer. And so that's like the oldest ones are always the one whipping their tongues out to grab you and pull you in. And apparently it says, and I quote, they have a tongue that is twice as long as their body once they get to that size, which is always really weird. But it's kind of like a ballistic tongue, like a chameleon, how they can literally like shoot out their tongue like a little cannon to grab things, which I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah, and
Now,
there's
as far as
few like variants of Skags within the games, and like we do see there's like the Alpha Skag and the Elder Skag, which do have like a longer tongue and are more heavily armored. There's Spitter Skags that can spit corrosive things. Borderlands being Borderlands, stronger enemies are often classified as badass versions. So there's like a badass Alpha Skag on top of the normal Alpha Skag, and then there's Skags with elemental affinities as well, and even more heavily armored ones.
I mean, on the note of armor, I was trying to look into what animals are similar because if you're ever playing the game and you try shooting them in the head, the normal doctrine, you're not going to get as far as you think you are.
But when they go, then you get,
they got to open their mouth.
Which is, again, a good lesson considering they're one of the first enemies you fight outside of, just normal psychos.
It's like a very
really
good defensive design. I like that, actually, because like the smaller Skags that aren't armored, you can kill them very easily, but the bigger ones almost always roar, especially in the early game, I feel like, and it's like a very good way of showing the player, to pick their moment. I feel like it's really good game design.
Can we shout out Skagzilla?
Of course. A reoccurring enemy as well.
With armadillo hide, that's the closest thing I could compare it to in terms of like a vertebrate, because it is, if you've never seen what armadillo hide looks like up close, it's basically bone and then a thin layer of keratin on a top that can like shed away, and then it has little grooves in the middle for the hair to grow out. I also had to look it up. At least in 2017, with the last article I could find it, someone did try shooting an armadillo. It did ricochet and hit him back.
That's what you get.
That's what you get. That's
mess
not
around and find out the doctrine of the West.
Yeah, I mean that's not the proper way to dispose of an armadillo, but it is very funny. All right, so the other one you run into when you start early off in the game, though, and those are the spider ants, and I didn't like how they moved.
Very descriptive name.
Yeah, no, I will say it has 4 legs only, which is neither spider nor ant, but I am no stranger to them messing things up. But can't really blame them. They're terrifying.
They're too big.
They're too big. Not the little ones.
They're even that's too big.
Too
This
big.
is like also their shape is kind of like the quintessential alien insect shape. Like they're
Yeah.
very like Starship Troopers.
Tyranid from Warhammer, Xenomorph, like
Yeah.
it's the head. It's the oval head. The oval. And you know what else? Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Indiana Jones.
Yes.
That's that weird orb shape that we assume with like extraterrestrials. I will admit they're more ant than spider. They have multiple forms that they take for protection of their queen. So you have the worker
Yeah, we do
ones. You
see
have
the queen spider ant is a class of spider ant.
You have ones that spit. You have ones that defend. You have knights. You have guards. You have all kinds of weird little critters running around.
Yeah, there's like more heavily armored ones. There's ones that have heavily armored front legs as well that will like sort of put them together and make like a bigger barrier.
And you have to do everything you can just to kind of get around them to make sure that you don't like get run over because they will roll at you,
Yeah,
which is
some of them
weird.
can roll.
They're very fun creatures to fight if you know what you're doing. But once again, can't shoot them in the head. Armored head.
Well, yeah, they're a very satisfying creature to in game too because like their abdomen is very weak. So once you get in the rhythm of like dodge the charge, jump, pivot, shoot, and like it's a very satisfying enemy to fight. And then some of the variants are less satisfying, especially some of the special variants in Borderlands 2.
Yeah. I will admit, like when they come across like a shock one or a fire one, those are like normally fine. I really do like it when they get like creative with making some weird ones out there. As far as the bulletproof goes, there is an insect that's bulletproof. We've talked about it on the podcast before, like the ironclad beetle.
Yes, I have some actually. Have I told you guys this?
I don't know if you told us that you had them. Probably, but we've known each other for years. You say a lot of things.
Yeah, so
what can you tell us about them?
Yeah, so I have I keep them at work in like a little tank on my desk. I have 3 they're blue death feigning beetles, also known as the blue ironclad beetle, which are a member of a group of beetles called the ironclad beetles. The blue death feigning beetles like native to the American Southwest, so they are native to the US. They're really cool and like they're like kind of a nice powder blue color. And a unique thing is they have like the wing cases like a beetle, but they're interlocked together instead. They don't open their wings to fly. It's kind of just like they're just together. But the way they fit together, this arch structure, it gives them like insane crush resistance. The point I think it would take like 70 pounds plus to crush an adult ironclad beetle. I like entomologists and stuff when they mount a specimen of an ironclad beetle, you have to use a dentist drill to make the hole for the pen. You can't just stick a pen through it.
So if you were to get one at human size, like or at least like dog size,
I mean,
in case the spider
that thing would eat a tank round. Like, yeah, thing would be ridiculous. But no, they're actually a really cool beetle, and they actually make pretty great pets. Honestly, they're pretty low maintenance. I literally feed mine like fish pellets, and occasionally like carrots and stuff. They're just omnivorous. They can live a long time, and yeah, I'm a big ironclad beetle fan. I think everyone should check them out.
I mean, we also get a chance to talk about how, while yes, ants are also social, but weirdly enough, we also get to talk about social spiders again. And the horrifying webs they can make. I mean, I'm surprised most people don't talk about them. Like, people are very obsessive about like their whole like nightmare scenarios of like seeing things. I figured people would know more about them. Like, there are multiple species of spiders that, while they are small, are very capable of working together to make these giant complex webs. And that teamwork allows them to kind of catch a lot more prey than they would on their own. It's not the same complexity as like an ant colony or a beehive, but it's still very incredible that these ants are able to kind of come together, weave these massive webs out of, their own bodies, and then just catch so much more prey, which you don't consider spiders as social. It's like sharks. You don't think of them as having any sort of social structure, but with these spiders, they can. So again, spider ants, just like the skag, really good organism. Now, as far as other critters go, the Rakks. I hate fighting Rakks.
Rakks are as close as you'll get to the original like Mount Doom or Mount Moon Zubats.
They are awful. I hate them.
But they're so easy to kill.
I hate shooting anything flying. I don't like shooting flying enemies. Just my weakness.
They're a pain. They're annoying when there's other enemies around. There's normally a big bunch of them, and they normally don't drop good loot. And depending on your loadout, if you don't have like a good shotgun or like something like that, you're gonna use a lot of ammo. Like if I'm playing like say like a sniper, like build on like Mordecai or Zero. I mean, like well you scope them, it feels good, but also they're annoying.
I like that Borderlands has a very strong Godzilla influence because so we already had Skagzilla. With the Rakks, you have Mothrak.
Yeah, that's right. We have
Love that
Yeah, I
name.
forgot about Mothrak, and then there's Son of Mothrak in Borderlands 2.
Son of Mothrak, yeah.
Oh, those were fun. Again, there's so many good boss names that they've added to these. Like, it's a shame we're not talking about like the bandits on this one because even they have some pretty amazing ones. Oh my gosh. Okay, slightly off track. I know we say we were going to talk about the pre-sequel, but the fact that they had like a Ned Kelly reference to, like in as one of the bosses, incredible. That game was Space Australia. It deserves a little more love. Not much, but a little bit more.
Lucas, speaking of the Rakks, I need to know your opinion, and Don, yours as well, on a specific species. What are your thoughts on the irradiated rattlesnake?
I'm pulling it up to make sure that I know exactly which one it's talking. Oh, good heavens! Oh my lord!
So I mean, it's pretty like whatever you want to say that a rack is, just combine it with a rattlesnake, and that's what you get.
This is awful.
This thing is horrifying.
I remember Spiderants. Oh, did you guys remember? Do you guys know about Rackman?
Yes.
Oh, I love Rackman.
Rackman.
Yeah.
Rackman
And he's got his
is
3 pet racks
great.
named Boom, Biff, and Pow.
Love Rackman.
And he drops the Gunnerang as a legendary drop.
Oh, he was so good. As far as the Rakks go themselves, they don't really have like an Earth like comparison.
I mean,
like with
kind of bats.
I mean, they don't have any legs. They have a really long, sharp tail that attacks thing. The only thing they have in common with bats is that they have leathery wings, but even the pterosaurs had that. I don't know if that like counts them as the same. It's very weird. I don't compare it to anything I've ever seen, especially when you consider that at least in Borderlands 1 and Tales of the Borderlands, they lived in hives.
Yeah, the Rack Hive is and we see there's one Rack Hive in Borderlands 2 as well.
Really, there is one.
Do you know where it is, Chris?
I don't know. Where is the
I think his name is Roscoe. He's Captain Scarlet's pet Rack Hive that you fight.
Right. I remember it was with the last fight we had with them. I miss fighting them. They were cool. I mean, as far as other organisms that have a giant hibernating monster as a nest, I mean, pearlfish, they live in the butts of sea cucumbers, and they go and go what they please without the sea cucumbers want.
And sloths. That's probably pretty big.
The moth and the what?
The moth and the sloth.
Oh, yes. I'm going to find a good picture of that one. You know, I just Googled moths in sloths, and I just figured that that would get me what I needed to, and it did. Yeah, they climb on in there, and
then they make moths.
Then they make moths, yeah. I was trying to think of something more artistic to say about it, but no, they just live there and make moths. Terrifying stuff.
Do you know what the manual says about Rakks from the original Borderlands game? Rakks were called the pigeons of Pandora because they were everywhere, didn't taste good, and pooped everywhere.
Pigeons taste good though.
We're gonna move on from that one. As far as other critters go, the other one I made notes on was the Threshers, which I thought were cool. They were one of my favorite enemies to fight.
Oh yeah, like also one of the the second official raid boss too of Borderlands series was the Thresher.
These ones were probably my favorite of the critters from Borderlands 2.
I really like them a lot. They're a very unique enemy.
I'm trying to hang on. Give me 1 second. I have to pull up what were their names in the pre.
They're still Threshers.
No, they're still Threshers, but there's a specific one I really liked, and I forgot it. 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah. What was it?
I know Terramorphous will always be my guy.
Terramorphous is great. The Moby Dick Thresher is great.
Oh yeah, what was then there's the one Old Slappy that took Mr. Hammerlock's arm and like you never learn why anyone calls him Old Slappy.
Yeah. Oh, actually, about that. All right. Before we get into talk about the biology, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about like the pre-sequel again. In the pre-sequel, there's a mission where you have to go and collect some Threshers so that way they can be delivered to Hammerlock for money. When they are delivered, if you read the descriptions of the ones you found, one of them really likes slapping things.
Oh, so
And
this
the
is the
other
one that
one is
later.
named,
Oh, how about that?
yeah, the other one is named Terry. And that is where Terramorphous the Invincible and Old Slappy come from.
Oh, okay.
So they were originally on Elphys, the moon above Pandora. And when you found them in Borderlands 2, it was like, oh, these are just massive monsters in the ecosystem. Turns out they're super invasive octopus worms that were released because of some horrible hunting mistake gone wrong. And now we have a massive invasive species of super worms.
It makes a lot of sense too because we see some Threshers. There's the Black Hole Thresher, and we see Terramorphous and a few others named Threshers can do it as well, where they have an degree of like gravity manipulation. And
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, it's pretty good and also really annoying on Pandora, but on like the moon, which has a much lower gravity, in the Borderlands universe, like that same draw power would be like really really effective since like there's less
Mm-hmm.
thing you're fighting against.
Yeah, I mean, it also they did a really good job of kind of matching the two animals who really don't have much in common with each other. I will say, as far as octopuses slapping things, yeah, there's been a lot of articles about that. Have y'all like read the article of why the octopus was slapping fish?
No, but I would like to know.
It's hysterical. So there are animals that will team up and work together. So moray eels and groupers will do it, humans and dogs, yada yada yada. But octopuses and goatfish have been known to hunt together.
I like goatfish.
And the goatfish has a fish brain. And so occasionally it gets off track of what it's supposed to be doing. And the octopus, to get it back on track, will punch it in order to get it back to work. The octopus succeeds by creating a hostile work environment.
Sometimes
Sure.
you gotta.
I mean, I do not stand for any negative sort of thing in the workplace on land. The ocean is a completely different story. Under there, different rules. But I also love that it's an invasive species story. I like the idea that they added something that really shouldn't be there. I mean, take your pick what comparison do you want to use. You know what? Python. We'll go with the classic. It's just like the Burmese pythons being released. In one place, they're tough. And in another place, well, they become literally invincible and start eating hunters' arms off. Whatever. I mean, I love them to death. But there is one enemy that I do not love, and it's probably one of the last ones we'll have time to talk about. The Stalkers. I hate the Stalkers.
Yeah, so stalkers are an enemy that was added in Borderlands 2. They have sort of a similar, a little bit biology to Rakks, a little bit like they have like sort of vestigial wing in their arms, but they can't really use them to fly, just sort of jump. The stalkers can generate bioelectric shields, and which they can also use to cloak. And in the lore, that uses the SOX organ, which is the same thing that electric eels use in real life. So I like that they gave it the name of an actual organ. And stalkers do live in nests as well. They're really fast, normally use like quick jumping in and then exiting attacks. They're just really annoying to fight. Some of them can
Because they
launch spikes
disappear.
from their tails. Some can spin around in like in a little electrical storm type of thing. There's a stalker and a stag that are buddies that you can fight, and their names are Pimon and Tumba.
Yes, I remember those.
Yeah, very very fun stuff. But they are, despite generating electricity, they are also vulnerable to electricity. But and it's
Feels like
actually
makes sense.
in the lore, in the pre-sequel, Handsome Jack mentions he has plans to develop stealth technology from Stalker research. And then in Borderlands 2, Hyperion, the company that Handsome Jack owns or is the head of, their snipers use cloaking technology. So it's a nice little lore there. And also, stalkers include what is, in my opinion, the worst enemy in the entire franchise, the rabid stalker.
Hang on. Why do I remember
No,
this?
it's just a stalker. It just sprints at you nonstop. It's obscenely fast, and it still has the shield.
So it just hates you.
Yeah, and I also I would say Veracitus the Invincible is one of the other raid bosses of Borderlands 2, and is, in my opinion, probably the hardest raid boss from that game, just from a mechanic standpoint. It's really fast. It does big elemental novas for no reason, and in the fight, you also have to deal with some of the people that are like from the area that worship it as a god. So it's like a group fight on top of it.
Okay, I will admit this is from the Jungle DLC, isn't it?
Yeah, Hammer. Yeah, I think probably the weakest DLC of Borderlands 2, Hammerlock's Big Game Hunt. But it added
Agreed.
it added some cool new bosses and weapons. It definitely, I think, is probably the weaker.
Yeah, no, I remember not liking Big Game Hunt.
It was the weakest of the stories, but I think it still had some.
I mean, in terms of some of the weapons it added was some of the best, including the Twister, which is the hoops you have to jump through to get the Twister before they did some of the stuff where they made it easier and changed some drop tables later were insane.
I don't know. As far as favorite gun goes, the Doom shotgun they put into the game later. That
with
honestly,
the Hellwalker from Borderlands 3.
yeah, that thing. Oh my god! Like when you pick it up, there's a metal guitar rift.
Yeah,
Like it's so good. I love it.
You have a favorite
I mean, as far
Borderlands
as
gun, Chris?
I am partial to the one in Tiny Tina's that literally shoots D20s.
Oh, I thought you were gonna talk about the sword explosion.
oh, the sword explosion gun. It shoots swords that explode as a shotgun.
Into more swords that also explode.
There's okay, this shooting swords ones is pretty great.
In terms of in-game for how it plays, the Pimpernel sniper rifle, I really like. It's a unique way the bullet splashes upwards. So instead of like headshotting enemies, you want to shoot them at like the belt line, and then the bullets all go up through them. So that's cool. But just in terms of favorite gun overall, just to use, I really like the really like the Morning Star. I think it's one of the funniest guns. It's you get it for doing a quest for Hyperion. It's a talking sniper rifle, but because it's given to you by the company that's trying to kill you, it's like it talks, but it's actively negative to everything you do.
This is just the root of that game that came out where the guns talk to you.
Yeah, but this is better.
I remember that they started doing that. And again, back to the pre-sequel, they had one that was just an angry Australian woman that would yell at you as you reloaded.
Yeah.
Like, again, as much as I'm going to dunk on the pre-sequel, like, I can't dunk on it too hard because I didn't enjoy it as a whole, but there's so many little parts to it that I really just love. Especially playing as the Jack Double. That was my favorite when that game was out. He was fun.
Oh yeah,
I love Timmy. I love Timothy. He's great. Are there any other creatures you want to tag in?
We have to highlight Cramerax.
Yeah, it's the OG.
All glory to the crayfish.
The original invincible boss that you have to take down. And unfortunately, like you can solo him if you know the glitches and all that, but like where's the fun in that? Don, many tries?
The ledge is a legitimate strategy. Don't take my ledge from me.
How long?
I will say also I really like the favorite legendary. The Tiny Tina DLC in Borderlands 2 they added grenades, but they were based off spells.
Yes.
You have the magic missile grenade and the lightning bolt grenade is
those are good grenades.
I liked the lightning bolt grenade a lot. But yeah, there's like I could talk about the specific weapon stuff I like for the next 10 hours, so I'm just gonna not.
Oh god, did you know they had a son of Cramerax?
Yes. In the Headhunters Borderlands 2 had the Headhunter DLCs as well, which were like $5. And they're like an hour or two of content for the most part. But yeah, then there was Wham Bam Island, which was like a good sort of a farewell tour to Borderlands 2. It was the last one. It was basically the squad and the characters from Borderlands 1 go on like a vacation to an island. They talk about they fight the son of Cramerax. And it's really funny because the Vault Hunters from Borderlands 1 reminisce about the ledge, Chris. They go, remember that ledge? Because there's a ledge in Borderlands 1 where you can jump onto and crouch and Cramerax can't hit you. And like they talk about the ledge, like, yeah, he could hit us and he couldn't hit us and we could hit him. And then they're like pearlescence, which were the unique drops he had.
No, but this thing is a giant super crayfish, and honestly, small crayfish are terrifying enough as is.
And also invincible.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
Like when
well,
we
he
talked about
started
it in
the trend of Borderlands naming all of their raid bosses whatever the Invincible. But yeah, Cramerax is sweet. I like his little he's got like the multiple little, I guess, ads with him where you need a different elemental weapon for each one, so it encourages some nice build variety.
I was thinking more on how in GalacticCon we brought it up, and it's all DragonCon the other year, was that if you see a body of water with nothing but crayfish in it, that means that water's hecka polluted. Don't go in there because crayfish can survive any amount of pollution you basically throw at them. And if they can survive it, then apparently that one that can clone itself. So the fact that this thing has a son, not too terrifyingly off.
It could even be a clone. Some crayfish reproduce basically like asexually, or they don't need a mate, I guess, to just lay eggs.
Yeah, what was it? The gray goo theory of like how like we'll make nanobots that eat us all and turn us into goo. Yeah, the crayfish are close.
But I forgot about, I'm surprised actually talk about, so I was thinking about, there's a Chris as a Gunzerker fan. I'm surprised you didn't talk about the Unkempt Herald.
I don't know if I know that
Oh,
one.
really? Oh, it was big for the Gunzerker builds because it's an explosive Torg pistol, and I really love it's one of my favorite. Borderlands has a lot of pop culture references, but Unkempt Herald is a reference to Dirty Harry.
Yes.
And then the flavor text on the gun is, did I fire 6 shots or only 5, 3, 7, whatever. And it's because the gun, when you fire it, it shoots initially like 1 bullet that splits to 3, that splits to 7.
I remember this guy. They put it back in Borderlands 3
Yeah, and
too.
it's really, really good. But just
It is a good
something about the name and the like flavor specific like flavor text on it just cracks me up.
That's a pretty great one. I appreciate
There
a
was
good
the
one.
Hyperion shotgun that was like ping everybody, like the Hyperion meeting shotgun.
The conference call.
The conference call. Again, the naming, the names on these things. They've done such a good job with them. Why did they screw up the movie idea this bad? I'm sorry. I know I haven't watched it and you're not supposed to judge it, but like,
You're gonna eat your words when it's a great movie.
I hope I do. I don't want to see it fail. They spent a lot of money getting Jack Black in there. Like,
They could have just used the voice actor for Claptrap.
Exactly. Which one? The one they canned the first time or the new one?
Either.
Well, I mean, I think that's great about this game. No matter how bad this movie is, my thought process is, okay, if it's good, then more people will be excited about it. If it's bad, more people are going to go buy the games who played it before to play it to wash the taste out of their mouth. And when the new game comes out, they're going to make a mission about how bad the movie was.
Oh, we'll get an entire game where the plot is like someone making a bad movie.
Well, like
there was already the only people I trust to make fun of a failure is the Borderlands people.
Yeah,
they are one of the few I would 100% be like down with. There's going to be some mission out there, and they're probably already working on the mission now. Where like, there was one mission in the last game where it's like, hey, in Borderlands 3, hey, go make them play my movie, go make them play The Room. Like they basically just a guy like a Tommy Wiseau reference.
Yeah.
The next mission is going to be like, hey, do me a favor. They gave me a lot of money and I kind of regret it. Can you like stop them from showing this movie? And they're just making reference all the way through it. Honestly, I think that's honestly the best route to go. Either that or make a whole DLC of them trying to like make a movie on Pandora and then they find another vault or something. I don't know. I'm not a game designer. But either way, I'm glad that this game series exists. I'm glad that this game series is out there and it's fun, it's crude, it's raunchy, but it's brought so many people together. And, not every game needs to be whimsical fun times and friendship or deep meaning. Sometimes it has to be a guy named
there's whimsical fun times in Borderlands.
Like, I find that very hard. I disagree with you on that, Lucas, because the Tiny Tina DLC has a lot of heart and meaning.
I think that's what made it great, though, is we didn't expect it to have heart and meaning. Like, that was
what
like
made it great. What made it great is that it was great.
Yeah, I remember when that DLC came out. I had it downloading that day while I was at work, and I got home. I was like, "Let's play the DLC." I like with the DLCs, I like to do the main story first if I'm already like max leveled, and then like go back and do the sides. And I was playing it for a few days, but I just played through the entire DLC like that night, and then it ended the way it ended, and I was like, I kind of just was just sitting there staring at the TV for a while.
Let's end on that note. Let's end on the positive. No matter what the movie turns out, we love those games. Hopefully, while you all were scrolling, the algorithm threw us up there for you to watch. Thank you all so much for listening. Again, thanks so much for all the new people listening from North Carolina. We appreciate y'all being there for us. If y'all have any suggestions, our Discord's down below. We got a suggestion box, and we love hearing from you. Until next time, have a wonderful rest of your day or night. If you're in the path of the storm, I hope you guys are okay. See y'all next time. Bye, everybody.